Hello and welcome to another edition of the Week in Gaming. Got quite a few news stories to get through today, so I'm going to start with yet another Resident Evil Revelations 2 story. It feels like the last 3 weeks that's all I've really talked about, but this one I think's there's been a massive load of information on it this week, so I felt it was a good way to start. So they've announced the characters. They've changed their mind from fresh new faces, even though one of them technically is, but the other's a veteran character, and it is the lady that's on screen at the moment. Claire Redfield is returning alongside Barry Burton's daughter. I think she's called Moira, which I kind of question, how do these characters keep ending up meeting with each other? A lot of Resident Evil characters seem to keep bumping into each other. It's rather strange. But I kind of liked it when they went with fresh new faces. Now it's sort of somewhat, well, they sort of half changed their mind because it kind of is a fresh new face. So here's the screenshot of Claire and Moira. Claire's obviously in front. She looks really different to what she did, I think, I'm trying to think the last game she was in, I think Mercenaries 3D. And obviously behind me is Moira. This is the new enemy known as the Afflicted. They look quite similar to the Giavo, I think it is, in Resident Evil 6. Well, somewhat similar. The next screenshot's going to show off the green band. From what I can understand of this, it is kind of your health indicator, which I think is a clever way of doing it, because there was a screenshot where it's yellow. I couldn't find it. This is Claire's render, so it sort of shows her costume off. She looks a bit grumpy, but then I don't think I'd be happy in her situation, to be honest. But I don't know why Capcom keep changing the characters. This is Moira's render, I think it's called. I think that's the correct term for it. She really does remind me of Rebecca Chambers from Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1. Really don't know why, but just kind of the same hairstyle. She only has a flashlight by the look of it, but it looks like it affects the creatures in that they don't like light. So that would be an interesting concept. See how that works out. Also, they've announced that it's going to be a 4-part series, so it's not going to be like Resident Evil Revelations on a disc. As they've announced, it's a weekly release schedule, so it's not going. You ain't going to have to wait long for it. So it'll come out over the course of a month, which isn't. I kind of like that, because a lot of games like The Walking Dead, I must admit that that's quite. I've only really played the first one, like the first chapter, so I haven't really played a lot of it. But I mean, I know they're different concepts, but it was always frustrating waiting for the next one to come out. I can imagine. I've got the disc version, so I wouldn't know, but I can always imagine if you're really into it, you just couldn't wait. So it's good that it's not going to be long to wait. Each episode's going to cost $5.99. That's in dollars, roughly about £3 something over here, I'd imagine. You can also buy a season pass, like The Walking Dead, just to cover a lot, which is $24.99 in dollars again. Roughly about £15 something as a guess. It's hard to really say over here. They're also going to release a full disc version, which will launch. It doesn't say when. It's just after they've released all the episodes. I'm going to wait. Personally, going to wait for the disc based. If there's always an option for that, I'll go for that, because that way you've always got it as long as you can use your console. That's going to be a little bit more though than the season pass, which seems. It's apparently $39.99, which seems a lot, to be honest, considering it's $24.99 just for the season pass. But it does say in the article, I'm reading from Eurogamer, that Capcom have teased extra content for those who wait for the season pass and disc based. Still, the disc version does seem a lot more. It's roughly about going to be £25 in over here, so. Yeah, it does seem like that's like £10 more just for a disc. That does seem a lot, but it does say in the article that the pricing over here has yet to be confirmed, so that'll be interesting to see. But that does seem a lot more just for that. Each option will be available across all the platforms, so that's on PC, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Strangely isn't coming out on the Wii U, but that's not really a big surprise, I don't think. It's kind of a shame, really, but it is annoying, because it seems so annoying that the first one's on there, but the second one isn't. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So it's just going on to say what I've already told you, that the game begins with returning heroine Claire Redfield and Barry Burton's daughter Moira. This is following on from the Resident Evil film, which I'm trying to think which one. I think it's Degeneration, the 2008 one. Because Claire's in a group called Terror Saber, if I remember correctly, in that film. It just says Terror Saber. I'm sure that's when she's in the organisation, so that's sort of sets up what she's fighting, what group she's with, because there's so many Resident Evil groups now. It's kind of nice that she's not the SAA. And from what they're saying here is that it's what Capcom says is in true RE fashion, so we're talking old school, not new school. Well, technically, from what they're saying, it's basically a story where they're safe, and then all of a sudden trouble comes finding them, and that's kind of pretty much in every Resident Evil game. Because there is a trailer I will post, it shows Claire at some sort of party, and then it's crashed by these military-looking guys, and next thing you know, they're taken to a prison, which in the last couple of videos I said from some of the screenshots it did look like a prison, so I'm quite chuffed that I got that right. It makes a lot of sense from what the videos were showing, or what a lot of the screenshots and box arts and stuff were showing, so I think a lot of people probably would have guessed it as well. So I've noticed that the new enemies are called the Afflicted, and it says, this is from what Capcom have written, who brought them there, here, and why, so it's sort of leaving a bit of mystery into the story. But the article closes to say that we'll be unveiling the game's opening episode when we go hands at Tokyo Game Show next week. So that'll be so starting this week, the Monday coming as a guest. Well, it says next week, so that's, I don't know why I question myself on that really, but it's kind of strange the way they're doing it this time around with the 4 episodes, because I think it's as if they're trying to sort of counter The Walking Dead a little bit, because that's quite a big seller, and it, to be honest, it is such a fantastic series, so they've got a lot to live up if they're trying to go toe to toe with that. To be honest though, I kind of like that it's sort of done, like it's sort of different, so we'll see how it goes. The only thing I don't like is the disc price. If you want to wait for the disc, it seems a bit harsh to charge that much, but if they're it's all going to be what the content is, to be honest. But I must admit, it's looking interesting at the moment. It would have been nice to see the original sort of zombies back, but I think as long as it's scary, I don't think Resident Evil needs it. I don't know, that's my personal feeling, and I think it is kind of nice to see Claire back, but as I said, I would have preferred to see some newer characters. I think Claire hasn't been in a storyline game since Code Veronica, I think. I mean, technically she was in the Dark Side Chronicles, which I'm playing now, but that's really just covering Code Veronica and Resident Evil 2 that she's in. So it's based on an older game, but I think Code Veronica is the last storyline that she was actually in, if I'm correct. So it'd be interesting to sort of, I mean, apart from the film Degeneration, but if you haven't, that's not really a game, it's more of a film, so it'd be interesting to see her back, and it'd be interesting to see Barry's daughter, and if Barry returns, because he's a character that no one's really seen since Resident Evil 1, though he is in a certain ending of Resident Evil 3. So I think he actually does survive and everything, so nothing's really, they never wrap that up which ending was actually the true ending, but that's the ending I prefer to go with anyway, so maybe we'll find out which ending's true through that. It's kind of strange, Resident Evil 3, because it's a game where the storyline's branched depending on your actions. There's a lot of questions that are open through that game, and maybe we'll finally get some answers on that, because I think that's really long overdue. There's a certain character that, depending on the ending, that they never really, you never find anything out, so maybe, I don't know, that's probably just me wishing. And that's enough about Resident Evil for today. So the second news story is about Grand Theft Auto 4 for the PlayStation 4, and Xbox One and also PC. So they've announced the release dates. So for Xbox One and PlayStation 4 it's going to be November 18th. Sadly for PC users it's not till January 2015, which it doesn't actually say in the article as to why that is. It's going to be out on the 27th of January 2005. Apparently the new edition, so I'm hoping they're talking about the PC version here. Well, it doesn't really affect me, but it'd just be nice for the PC version to get something for having to wait for so much longer. But apparently it will feature major visual and technical upgrades now. I must admit a lot of the trailers make it look a lot better than the PlayStation and Xbox versions that are available at the moment. And apparently Rockstar have promised increased draw distance, new weapons, vehicles and activity such as wildlife photography. That's certainly different. Apparently there's more animals, there's going to be denser traffic, better foliage and enhanced damage and weather effects also feature. So honestly it's nice to have these extra things, because if you look at a lot of games that have just been remastered, I was going to say replastered, but mastered, the technical term actually, yeah, it does sound a lot better. Replastered sounded better in my head, to be honest. If you look at a lot of the games that have been remastered just for the new consoles, a lot of them are just the same thing, just with a little bit of DLC chucked in. I mean, if you look at, I'm just trying to think, we've got Tomb Raider,
This is great. Now they're coming from all sides.
it's been done. You've got Sleeping Dogs coming out, which at the moment I really don't see the point in. I say that about Tomb Raider, I actually own it, which, yeah, is really quite silly. They remastered Dynasty Warriors 8, if I'm correct, just time with the Extreme Legends thing. Admittedly, I bought that one, that was because I never bought Dynasty Warriors 8, so it made sense. I do have, so that's, yeah, I have that one. I must admit I do own Tomb Raider. That was only because my sister wasn't sure if I had it or not, but it was like really cheap, so I'm not too worried. And I must admit it does look a lot visually a lot better, so it's not too bad. There's a long list of sort of, I think they're bringing Beyond Souls out again, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you haven't bought these games it's fantastic, but if you have it's more of, it just seems like a sort of cash in again. I mean, The Last of Us I haven't personally played. I didn't really see the point because I'm happy what I've got with the PlayStation 3 version, so I haven't really bothered with it. I might when it comes down, we'll see, but I'm kind of happy with my PlayStation 3 version. But a lot of these remastered games they just seem like the same thing, just with the slightly updated graphics and a little bit of DLC chucked in. I mean, some like The Last of Us and Metro are fantastic ideas to bring to those consoles, because if you've missed, for example, if you haven't got an Xbox, you won't be able, or a PC I think actually, you won't be able to play Metro 2033, I think it is, because the last light's on PlayStation 3. That's why I bought it, because I've never played the first one. I downloaded the second one and it did look quite a good game, so that's why I bought it. And the same for The Last of Us. If you only owned an Xbox 360, you wouldn't have had the chance to play it, so that makes sense. But with this, with Grand Theft Auto being released for the newer console, it does make a lot of sense that they're adding extra content, because there'll be more to do and there'll be more incentive to buy it. I mean, I kind of wish there was like a sort of discount if you wanted to upgrade, like they do with some of the other versions, because it makes a lot of sense to do that as well, because if you've already got it, it just seems pointless to buy it again. I mean, it's hard to say, because I'm sort of in the boat of, I've got it on PlayStation 3, I don't see the point in buying it again. When it was announced, I was like, I'm not really going to buy that again. I must admit, it does look amazing, which is a great start, and the fact that they're adding new content. They're also going to be upgrading the radio stations and adding 100 new songs and new DJ mixes, which I didn't really spend a lot of time listening to music, so it doesn't affect me, but if you like listening to music and stuff on them, that's a really great addition. Also, if you pre-order it, you get $1 million in game cash to blow on the campaign and online, so that is quite a good pre-order incentive in a way, because it's quite hard to get the money on there. One thing I do like though is that you can carry your online character and gain progress over. I'm just trying to see if it does say. Yeah, it says that, or you can do it for the online part. It doesn't. I don't think it says anything about the single player, and it's also saying that all the existing DLC packs, that are, well, content packs that have been released for PlayStation 3 and Xbox are also going to be on there. Because that kind of is what I thought they were going to add on, but then I thought, well, that's a bit unfair because that's not really new stuff. But hopefully that's not what they're going to do. But I must admit, it does. It's nice to see that they're doing this, but yet again, it does seem like another cash in, even though there's like extra content that wasn't in the previous versions. There was also some talk about a zombie mode, that there was some leaked information on that as well. So that's something if there was like a zombie mode, I'd really consider buying it again. I really would, to be honest, because it just sounds. I think a game like that, it really worked well with the Red Dead Redemption. I quite enjoyed that, even though I've never actually got around to finishing it. I did find it quite an interesting concept. So yeah, I think something like that would really be a big reason to buy it. It just does seem a little unfair that because you're an early adopter and you thought, you know, you were really hyped for it and just wanted to buy it when it first came out. It just seemed a bit unfair that you're getting, in a way, punished because you don't want to buy the upgraded version. It does seem a little unfair, but then I can see what they're trying to do from a business point of view. So it's a tough one to call that, really, to be honest. So that's really going to wrap up everything for this week's edition of the Week in Gaming. There was another story I was going to do, but I personally didn't feel confident enough to go ahead without it. I'd sort of give it a quick look. It's something I've heard recently. There's going to be a story on the fact that the PlayStation 4 there's like a known issue where it ejects discs, and I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube saying about how Sony don't want to fix it and stuff like that. And honestly, I've only done a brief bit of research, but everything I've sort of searched just comes onto forums about people that's like asking how to fix it and things like that. So I didn't feel confident enough to go ahead with this. I mean, personally, as someone who's like, I must admit, up till now, my PlayStation 3 has probably been my main console. It probably is, but I must admit, of late I've really been getting into my PlayStation 4 quite a bit. So this is a quite worrying thing. I mean, I don't know how common, from what I can understand, a lot of stuff on the internet, because it's easy to find, it does feel like it's quite common. But I must admit, I'm a bit worried because it's like I'm really starting to get into my PlayStation 4 at the moment. So if that did happen and I wasn't aware of fixing it, like a lot of these videos are suggesting, it would be very frustrating. But as I said, I'm not going to go into it big time because I haven't really got a lot of facts, and I'd rather have definitive proof and solid information before discussing it fully. So I'm going to leave that one out for today, but I will thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for another edition.